um, with that, I am the life coach for A Lady of Influence, CEO for A Lady of Influence, and I also am a coach for Eddrina Clark Enterprises. But I am that woman's woman. I want to see other women succeed. So however I can do that, however I can encourage you and push you into your purpose, that is what I was born and created to do. So that's what I want to do, and I will help you. And we can help each other, get to the next place on tonight. So thank you so much. I'm excited about the conversation. So I'm passing it on to Fransaya.
Hi, everyone. I am Fransaya Seal. I'm a sophomore at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. I'm studying political science, and I'm also studying pre-law. As some of you may know, I am an aspiring future attorney. And I'm excited for this chat only because I love my dad, and I can't wait to just have a normal conversation with someone else who kind of understands the feeling, and hopefully be able to spread that same feeling to other girls who may want to know what it feels like, or just being able to talk about my dad as Father's Day is coming up.
Wow. Okay, daddy girls. Exciting. So Eddrina, I know we're talking about father, but when you think about father, what comes to mind? What's the definition in your mind about father?
What a powerful and loaded question, because I could go on and on and on. I was blessed in many stages of my life to have fathers with an S. And I know that is not politically correct. And I have to explain it because people you only have one biological father, which is true. I do have one biological father, and he started that definition of what a father is and what it means in my life. And because of who he was in my life, he's no longer here on earth, but because of who he was from a baby on up, I have baby pictures where he adored me. He loved me. I was the apple of his eye. And for years, as a younger girl, I would try to deny or diminish the adoration that he had for me and I had for him, because I was like, everybody doesn't have it. Everybody doesn't have that feeling. So I don't want to share, because I don't want to make other people feel uncomfortable. But as an adult, I take full pride in knowing that I am who I am because my dad loved me, and it gave me the confidence that I have as a woman because of what he did and what he showed me a man should be. So therefore, I don't have to go out and get other things from other people or have expectations from other people, because my daddy gave me what I needed, and I was full. I was full off of his love. So the definition started with my father's love.
Wow. Fransaya?
For me, a definition of a father, if I were to say what a father should be, a father is, of course, someone who gives birth to you, places you on this earth, and is the protector of you. Now, I call my dad a protector because men specifically are placed on this earth to make women feel safe. So when I'm around my dad, I feel protected, I feel safe. It's like I'm in a safe atmosphere. It's almost like when you come home after a long day of work and you can just sit down and you feel so relieved. So my definition of a father is someone who has unconditional love for you and who is a protector of you and is here to show you what a man should treat you like on this earth. And that's how come I also have the same issue with, hey, my dad does this for me. So if you can't do this for me, now I don't need you around me.
So that's powerful though, but there's the pros and cons to that, right? When you think about wanting your father, wanting another man to be like your father, that brings a lot of struggle in relationship. So Eddrina, I'm going to take it back to you before we get to Fransaya, because you were more mature from a dating standpoint. Are you finding yourself in a situation where you are looking to compare where your father can afford you to another man, and where does that lead you? How does that make you feel? Not to mention, how does that make that man feel?
Well, and I'm sure we'll get into it a little bit later about that comparison, but I am comfortable enough to know that even in the spiritual realm of, if he's not already having the capacity to show love, or the capacity to carry me as a woman or a lady, then I don't even entertain it. I don't even open that door to, because I know it's going to be a waste of time. And here's the thing, I'm giving the gentleman grace because there's no need of me wasting your time. You can't even fit the bill of who and what my dad has shown me. My biological dad did not marry my biological mother. Okay. So it's many dynamics to this story. However, I did have another dad that, because we didn't use the word or term stepfather, well, that's a whole nother situation. These past couple of years have been interesting, but we never used, matter of fact, my mom did not even allow us to use the word stepfather, because he came in to provide and take care of us just as if he was our blood father. So people did not even know that there was a difference. So I really had two dads in the same town that I had to like balance off who had what responsibility in my life. So I was, again, going back to my previous statement, I was full of what I needed. Both men showed my mom and my stepmother the love and the provision and the protection that they needed in the household. So the example was there. So if I am foolish enough to go out and just snatch up a man at the grocery store and say, oh, hey, you're going to be my man, I can't do that. To me, that's the definition of settling, because I know better. When you know better, you do better.
Mm. And you talk about settling, right? Fransaya talks about that a lot, that I'm not going to settle. Well, if you can meet up to my standard, well, oh yes, oh bad, that's your loss. That's not my loss. So Fransaya, what do you tell your young friends who are feeling like, who may not have that experience of a father, and how to deal with settling, to not make sure that they are second guessing themselves? What would you say to that young lady?
Me personally, when I talk to some of my friends and they don't have like that fatherly figure to kind of show them the example, I tell them like, what do you allow like for yourself? Like, if you wouldn't want a man to like disrespect you, it's all about what you allow and what you don't allow. Like for me, I'm not really the type of person to put up with people after I see patterns that I don't like. So I tell my friends, I'm like, well, for one, you have to like love yourself. And my dad has shown me like to have so much confidence in myself and to love myself. When you love yourself, there's a lot of things that you won't allow to happen because you just have so much respect for yourself. And having a lot of respect for yourself lets you, it keeps you from settling, because it's like, since I look at myself like I'm on this level, and if you can't, if we're not on the same level, then it's not really, there's no conversation that we should, there should be no conversation between me and you. We can be friends, but as far as like moving up to that level, it's not going to do it for me. So to all the girls who wonder like what they should allow, I first would tell them to like seek self-love, because once you like love yourself and you're confident in yourself, your demeanor and how you like walk on this earth will change. So people who have respect for themselves move way differently for people than people who don't have anything to lose. So once you gain that self-love, self-respect, and confidence, the people you surround yourself by will be completely different.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes that can be a borderline of arrogance, right? Because sometimes people might think, oh, you were too arrogant or too full of yourself. How do you balance that? Because a lot of people in life will look at you when you have higher standards and think that you walk with chips on your shoulders. What would you say? How do you balance not being arrogant versus confidence?
Me personally, sometimes when people tell me I'm arrogant at first, I just brush it off my shoulder because it's like everything I ask for, I feel like I can reciprocate. So you shouldn't necessarily call me arrogant for asking for something I know I would be able to reciprocate to my future partner. You calling me arrogant is kind of like, okay, well, she thinks she's better than me. Well, can you do what I'm asking my partner to do? Are we in the same position? Some other girl might require her man or her boyfriend to do something differently than mine because of her experiences in life. But because I know who I am and what I want, I will be able to tell them, hey, up front, this is what I want. And if you can't do that, then there's no reason. Everybody has their different standards. My standards may be up here, but I know one day somebody is going to be able to meet them only because I have the perfect example in my life. So it's kind of like, I know that I'm not asking for the impossible only because I see it being done every day.
Mhm.
Mm.
But I feel like when a person is coming to you in a way of either degrading you, questioning your motives, or making you feel less than because of the way they feel about themselves, you don't have to pick up that baggage and carry that. You need to really analyze who is the sender, who is actually telling you this, and what issues they may be already dealing with on their own, and just kind of wipe it off, because sometimes people talk and their tongue is talking, or you can hear the hurt coming off of their tongue. You can hear the bitterness coming off of their tongue. And sometimes people don't want to acknowledge that they're hurt, they're bitter, they are disappointed that their life may not have ended the way that you are, experiencing at the moment. But we all have our struggles. We all have things that we're dealing with. And no one's household was the very best or perfect. It was perfect for us in this household, this address. It was perfect for us, but somebody else can look in it and say, oh, that's raggedy, that's jacked up. I wouldn't, do that. So it's looking at the person or hearing what they're saying, and whether you're offering the grace to that person to give them a greater insight to say, here is how we do here. This is the reason why I feel this way. Or sometimes people are just wicked and bitter and they just want to hurt you where you are to bring you down. So deciding between those two people who are talking and then making a decision, am I going to invest my heart and my soul and my support into this person? Or am I just going to walk away?
Wow. Two strong ladies. So back to the topic of a father. I'd like you to describe your relationship with your father. So Eddrina, maybe you can start and go back to Fransaya. What your relationship with your father looks like?
Interesting. Oh my God. Right now, currently, it brings me to a sadness. And at my current place, well, we're going deep, Saya. We're going deep early. I thought we were going to take this down like. Okay, so let me go back to, again, I have a biological father who's no longer here on earth. He loved me in my childhood, and he did the very best that he could. And I just know that I was the apple of his eye. Like I said, denied it for years, but I know it. I'm confident that I can still just think on things that he did. Was like, man, my dad was the best. And then after, in my teenage years and understanding the important role of my stepfather, I hate that word. I can't stand it, but just for the contents of this conversation, my stepfather, he came and he did what the very best that he could, and been our provider in the home. And we did have a safe environment. We made, it was always a roof over our head. We had food. He gave a safe place, for us to, live and grow and become mature leaders in the community now, alongside, of course, my mom, but we're talking about fathers right now. And then as I, got on my own, moved to Charlotte, and joined a church. And at that time, I submitted myself as a spiritual daughter to my pastor at the time. And so throughout that season of the church, I was serving in ministry where I had a close relationship with my pastor, and he also sowed seeds into my life. And I would never deny what I learned in that relationship as well. And with all of that capsulated together with three of those relationships, it was a covering. Okay, so with that covering, I felt that protection, I felt that safety, I felt that they provided for me, I felt that it was unconditional love. And all of that is a correlation of the Father's love. It actually is the depiction of my relationship with the Father. And so therefore, with those natural relationships, I am now able to serve God in a loving, authentic, and genuine way, because my foundation with my natural fathers on earth, I can now have a sincere, authentic relationship with my spiritual father. So it's the same depiction. If I have a safe relationship with my father on earth, I can have a safe relationship and trust his word with my spiritual father. I know that he's not going to lie to me. I know that he's going to protect me. I know that whatever he said, his promises are true, and he's going to, the best, whatever my desires are, he's going to make sure that he's giving me what I need and what I want, some wants on earth. So the security of my natural father gives me the security of my spiritual fathers. My
Wow.
spiritual father.
Powerful.
Miss
Fransaya?
If I could describe my relationship with my father, I would say that me and my dad are best friends. And I would also say my dad has unconditional love for me, because like sometimes I just get bored and I just like go bother my dad. And of course he's irritated at first, but then he starts laughing. And other people would say like my dad, like in my family, people would say my dad's like my playmate. So me and my dad, like I would kind of say me and my dad are like the same person, but we differ in ways. That's like how we get along so well, but we bump heads a lot. But it's like we argue one day and then we're back the next second. Like I have unconditional love for my dad. My dad has unconditional love for me. My dad is like my best friend, my protector. And he's just someone I could be comfortable with if I need to cry to, or if I just need to sit and explain myself, or if I just feel like asking for money, because I sit and ask my dad for like crazy things sometimes. Like me personally, I just feel like my dad has all the money in the world. So one day I can ask my dad for, say, for example, $10 million. I said, hey, Dad, can I have like $10 million? He would just be like, okay. And then we both start laughing, because it's like, we have such like a funny, like a jokingly relationship. Like we can just look at each other, say something funny, and just start laughing. Because it's like, Dad, I know you don't mean it, but it's just like the thought that counts. So that's how I describe my relationship with my father.
How does that make your siblings feel? You're acting like you're the only child.
My siblings, sometimes they have gotten to a point where they're just like over it. They're like, oh, you and your dad are just so dramatic. Like they almost talk about my dad as if we don't all have the same father. But my siblings, sometimes they feel like, hey, Dad, what about me? And sometimes they just like, I wouldn't say they feel forgotten, but they feel like overlooked sometimes, because my dad pays so much attention to me. But then I try to explain to them like, hey, I'm the only girl in the house. Girls require a different love than males. So sometimes the attention that they're seeking for, unfortunately, they're just not gonna get it, because I'm always around my dad. Like you see my dad in the house. If I'm not there, like in the next 10 minutes, I'll be right beside my dad, bothering him, trying to figure out just another way to annoy my dad. But to me, my brothers, they just look at us and they be like, oh, here they go again. Like, they have gotten used to our relationship in the household, and they know our relationship is different. My dad has a great relationship with all his children, but me and my dad's relationship, it's just different in the household. So it's not really like, over the years, they'll be like, oh my gosh, dad, you let her get away with anything. Dad, you do this, dad, you do that. But then they just realize, you know what? She's a girl. That's their excuse now. She's a girl.
Wow.
Mhm. And there is a difference in between, the same gender parent child relationship. So just the same as the sons with the mother, there's a difference, and also with the father and the daughters. So there's, it's just a difference.
But some people may have fathers who don't have that jovial or textual relationship. Would you say that father doesn't love their child? Or what would be your perspective for somebody who's listening and don't have that playful relationship with their father, or that get anything from my father, right? Because sometimes I hear Fransaya say, if I want my father to buy me anything, he's gonna buy. So what happens to that father who doesn't demonstrate his type of love in that way? What would you say?
So that's a question that I knew we were going to get to. I knew that we were going to touch on it at some point, but I think that's the reason why a lot of issues are going on in the world today, because of the lack of the love from the father, and because it's needed, male and female. And when you feel like you have been abandoned by the actual seed, because the seed comes from the man, and you have been abandoned, or you feel unwanted or unloved, then you start acting out to get attention. And so, as me and Fransaya, we're talking about the love that we have for our father and the love that our fathers have for us. There are still some women, young ladies, little boys, grown men who are still stuck at little boys, that are still crying out, where's my dad? Why didn't my dad want me? It's funny that you said that, because I was watching Fresh Prince of Bel-Air last night about 3:00 in the morning, and that was the episode that came on. It was the father's episode where the father left him, and he was excited to reunite with his dad. And Will Smith said, "Why doesn't he want me? What did I do? Why did he want me?" That is a very hurtful. Like, it tugs at your heart, because you think that you did something that the man would walk away from you, and it was never you. And I want to really encourage anyone who is listening that may feel that loneliness or that longing for that relationship. I really want you to hear what I'm saying. It was not you. That man may not have had the capacity, and because of some broken systems or some broken, ways of how the relationship between the mom was even, created, there is a lot of things that may need to be mended before that you don't have no control over. So I would say that you have to find some solace within yourself to say, one, I'm going to do it better, or I know that I have to trust God, because it really goes back to him. It really goes back to him and his love, because he created love. So if we are longing for love, wanting love, you have to go back to the source who created it, and it starts with God. So you have to go back to God and say, heal my heart in that place where I am broken, fill it up where I'm empty. I need for you to fill it up, that I'm overflowing, and I can show it back to someone else who needs it. But one thing that I know that God is faithful in doing, I am sure 100% confident in knowing that even if you did not receive the love from your natural father, God always sent someone in your life that was going to give you that love. Did we not see it? Did we not want to receive it, or rejected it because it didn't look like who we thought it was going to be? Whether it was the old man at work who just took a hold to you, and he gave you the father love or the father wisdom, or wanted to check on your car, make sure your oil change is right, or whatever. If it was a neighbor, if it was your best friend's father, if it was someone at church, or a professor at college, or something, it was somebody that was in your path that is or was trying to give you the love that you needed, and either you took advantage of that love or you rejected it because you were still hurt and bitter. So you probably need to do a self examination to see, am I rejecting love because I feel like I never got it and I'm missing it from the person that I wanted? And God is still a sustainer, and give you what you need. It just may not look like what you're wanting it to look like.
It's funny you said that, because growing up, I didn't have my father. My father left when I was 4 years old. So I really never experienced what Fransaya is talking about. But I get to live it through the relationship she has with her father. Because I admire that so much. It's something I always longed for as a little girl, to have that fatherly connection. So I feel like sometimes I live that through Fransaya and the relationship she has with her father, but most importantly, the relationship with my God has been able to fill that gap. Sometimes I still miss my father, and I feel like, oh God, I wish I had that type of relationship, but God has been able to fill that gap. So again, back to other women like myself, who father may not have been close to them or at home. I mean, there's always the Heavenly Father who fills the gap in our life for many reasons. So I'm grateful that I have that Heavenly Father relationship.
Because if I can be honest with you, even right now, and I hope and pray that someone is hearing my heart and receive what I'm saying, because although I talked about the 3 fathers that I had in my previous years, back to my biological father, stepfather, and pastor, and things like that, I don't have that now. And I feel it's a longing on the inside. It's a brokenness going on in my heart right now. Because what I once had, I do not have anymore. And I can still feel the pain where there are some women out here, like, I've always wanted to feel that love of a father, and I wanted to be a daddy's girl. If you really be honest, I know there are so many strong women out here that say, I don't need anybody. I don't care about my dad, or just disrespect any kind of way. Sis, come in, touch your heart, be true, be transparent with yourself and say, yes, you did need that. You did, and you want that. You long for it, because even though I had it, I don't have it now. I still long for it now. And because of who we are and how we were created and how God made us, there was supposed to be a transfer. Even though the world has created a whole nother system, there was a transfer that was supposed to happen from your father's house to your house. And in that father's house, your father was supposed to transfer you to your husband. And your husband was supposed to cover you in your house. Now, of course, there are different pictures, different circumstances. That did not always happen in everybody's house. I know that. But your spirit man still desires it. Yeah. So we have to take off of that shield that has put up this hardcore man on the inside, and just be vulnerable enough to say, that's how God created you. You wanted it. And like you said, it's like, God, fill me up. Fill me up. Give me your love. Give me the love that I desire in my natural father. Give it to me, that I know that I am full. I know that you're providing everything that I need. I know that you are that longing. I know that you're giving it to me. Just fill me up. Where there's emptiness, you have your Heavenly Father. Fill me up. That's the request. Fill me up.
Yes. So this is really awesome. Fransaya, with all of this love and attention, I'm going to ask how you intend to transfer transfer that into the word? I know you are the youth ambassador for ATDOE Foundation, giving back. How do you intend to use all of that?
Well, for all the love I receive, I intend on showing that same love to my future children, only because I know what it can do, like coming up. And also, I want my husband to also have that love that my dad has for me, that unconditional love. And even, even not even just my children, but stuff I can do now. Like, for example, some of my friends don't have fathers that they can lean on. And sometimes they see me post my dad and oh, this, that, and the third. And one of my friends has actually like reached out to me and we talked about it. And I'm just like, I told her, I'm like, you just have to reassure girls that it's nothing that they did to make their father resent them. At the end of the day, fathers, or as some of them may refer to their dad as just the man who gave birth to me, the fathers, sometimes they have to just like look within themselves, and sometimes they have healing to do within themselves. That's how sometimes people who were meant to like, nurture us, they run away from that because they feel like, oh, I can't be a good parent. What if I spew my hurt onto my child? So I just kind of remind her, I'm like, there's nothing that you did to make them leave. And, just to reassure people like, hey, don't place the blame on yourself for your father's actions. And one day, I hope you can forgive him so you're able to rekindle that relationship and seek all the answers that you're looking for. But the first step, you cannot hate the man who gave birth to you. Sometimes our situation may be difficult, but we have to learn to forgive, because at the end of the day, building a relationship with your biological parents is very important, because you may have questions about yourself that you don't have answers to. Like, I know there's this one girl, she resented her dad, but she finally got the opportunity to talk to him and actually sit in here, hey dad, why weren't you in my life coming up? And there's other people who you see on the internet reconnecting with their dad after 40 years. They didn't hate their dad for those 40 years. They waited to build a relationship, and people are starting to build their relationship with their dad at 40. It really doesn't matter what age you are to build a strong relationship with your biological parents. I just know you have to find it in your heart to be able to forgive, because there's a lot, because I went to a public high school, of course. There's a lot of people who don't necessarily have what I have. And I had to kind of take a step back and be more grateful for my relationship, because there's a lot of people longing. I'm thinking everyone has this relationship, because in my world, this is normal. But in the real world, there's so many people who are growing up without their fathers, growing up without their dads, and they're just growing up without that manly figure in the house. And having that manly figure in the house can really alter how you view the world. Because there are women out here who feel like, oh, I don't need a man can never do this for me, I'm gonna be all by myself because my dad was never with me, so I know I can. And it's not supposed to be like that. From a biblical standpoint, God put Adam and Eve on this earth, so a man and a woman were supposed to be together. I'm not saying like your dad is to me, your father is your first quote unquote boyfriend. Your dad is supposed to nurture you from the day I was born. My dad was holding me and he was crying. He was like, oh, this is my baby girl. And from that day to now, I feel like my dad's love has increased for me, because my dad just shows me what I should and shouldn't accept from a man. And every girl, even if you choose not to rekindle your relationship with your father, I'd say to you, please do not go into this world looking for a man who can fill that gap, because you're going to continue to hurt yourself. Referring back to what I said before, you have to find self-love, because if you go out into this world looking for someone who could be your dad, 9 times out of 10, you're going to just hurt yourself all over again. So you have to forgive yourself, forgive him, even if you don't have a time to sit and rekindle that relationship. Forgive your father, even if it's on your own, and be able to look all the characteristics or everything that you wanted to experience growing up. That's what you should look for in a man when you're like dating. You shouldn't just go date someone and be like, oh yeah, this is gonna fill my fatherly gap. All the qualities that you wanted growing up, make sure your partner will be able to provide that for you, instead of just jumping and say, oh, like how you said, just go pick a random man in the grocery store. Look for those same qualities you wanted for in the father. And so when you build a family, you can end that cycle.
Profound. Whoa. Counselor Seal. Gina, is there anything you want to add or follow up there? What do you intend to do? And then getting part of following after Miss Fransaya, right?
Right, exactly. I think she hit it on the head. Like, it's the example was laid, and there's no need to add to or subtract from, because when the pattern has been laid and it was a correct foundation, it was just supposed to be a continuing path, not broken and everybody creating and doing their own thing, doing whatever they want to do. The path was laid, and it's such a blessing, Fransaya, for you to you received the love from birth, and you will see the fruit of that for the rest of your life. It can't be taken away. The experiences that you've had with your father, you will remember. And like you said, even when you go into your house with your husband and your children, you'll always have that pattern, that example on, this is what I experienced at my house. Of course, you have your own, your own vision for your family and have your own house rules and things like that. But because your dad will put your hand inside of your husband's hand and trust your husband will only make you better than what your dad did, you can only expect for greater and greater and greater.
Wow. This conversation has been so powerful and enriching. It looks like Fransaya already brought home the word about forgiving your father.
Yes.
And forgiving yourself and finding it in yourself, self-love. Self-love is really important, because there are many things in our lives that we are seeking, but we have to first love ourselves.
Have to.
So as we celebrate Father's Day, I know there are many men listening, there are many women who are listening and still, like myself, longed for their father, but loving yourself first and looking up to your Heavenly Father, you can definitely provide avenues to fill those gaps. And I like the examples that you also gave, Eddrina, when you talk about there may be another person's father who could help, earthly father who could help play that role in your life, or your pastor, or your friend, or your boyfriend. But again, it all starts with really having self-love and that relationship with you and your Heavenly Father.
Right.
So, we have just 12 more minutes left. I would like you to start with you, Eddrina, to give your last words. What are some of the things you want to say to men out there?
Yes, well, we were in sync. That's exactly where I was getting ready to go with it. For the men who are listening, because there's always some men that are tiptoe in just to see what's going on, or if you catch the replay, or if a wife shares it with the men. I have two things that I want to say. I hope and pray that men start to begin to understand the importance of their role, and knowing that we need you. We need you, and we need you as your voice of reasoning. We need you for your leadership. We need you for that accountability. We need you for that confidence. So it's not that we just exist in this world without any type of assignment. Your assignment is to cultivate, and your assignment is to produce. that's why God put you on this earth. So even if you're not producing any more seeds where you're birthing more children, but you're producing the seeds of love back into the community. So there are plenty of children that are in mentoring programs, plenty of children in these elementary schools, high schools, that they are desiring that male figure. So there is work to be done in the community. And I know that our loads are very heavy. We got a lot going on in our personal lives, but just take time to serve. Take time to go into the community and say, how can I show love to these individuals that it's not going to be manipulated in any kind of way. I don't have a hidden agenda. I'm not going to cause any more harm where they would need some therapeutic help after dealing with them. So that may take me getting some work done in myself before I can go serve and volunteer in the community. But let that be an assignment that you think of, like, how can I go help the community? Because it's needed. A father's love is needed in the community. And the second thing that I would say for the women out there, let the guard down. Let the guard down to receive the love. Because if God is sending a man to your life, whether that be your husband in a brand new mindset, because you could be laying right beside your husband right now, but God awakens his mindset to say, I got to do better. Or if it's a husband, you're a single woman desiring a husband. Or if God is sending a co-worker or someone, a man of leadership that can come into your life. Sis, just open up your heart. Open up your heart. Ask God to renew your heart. Forgive, like Fransaya said, forgive. Be ready to receive, because once you ask God to come into your heart, he's going to do it. He's going to do it, but just be prepared and ready to receive it, because we all need it. So that's what I would say to close out tonight.
Wow. Miss Fransaya, what you said to fathers out here?
For me, what I would say to future fathers out there, I'm going to use my brother as an example, my oldest brother, because he told me, he was like, oh, I can't wait to have a daughter so I can show her like what a man should treat you like. So I would just say to all my future fathers out there, I would say you should treat women how you would want your daughter to be treated. So you should always, like, if you wouldn't do that to your daughter, please do not do that to a woman on the street, because that's someone's child too. So when you have your children, male or female, you should continue to show them that fatherly love, because the fatherly role is important with both genders, because you're teaching your son how to walk in your path and to be a father, and you're teaching your daughter what she should and shouldn't accept from a man. So to all the future fathers out there, that's what I advise you. And to the fathers out there, this upcoming Father's Day, I would say, if you have a relationship like me and my dad, continue doing what you're doing, continue to grow that relationship. And even to the less fortunate fathers who don't have that relationship, I would say find within yourself to reach out to your children and try to rekindle that relationship, because as much as you think they resent you, they do want to have that conversation with their father, even if they just want to express to you, hey dad, I can't forgive you for what you did. It's the fact that you're still reaching out to them and being able to hear them out. So you should, regardless of the situation, always reach out to your children, because you never know that, hey dad, I can't forgive you, down the road might be turned into something beautiful that you always long for, each party's long for.
Wow. So profound. I cannot even follow up with anything else. So I want to say thank you, Miss Fransaya, for being so authentic. And Eddrina, thank you so much for this beautiful conversation. And to my audience, I want to say thank you for watching. We apologize that we couldn't live stream on Facebook from the ATDOE page, but we were live streaming from my page, Say ATDOE. We're also going to record this conversation. This conversation is being recorded, and we will be able to share on YouTube for those of you who could not make it to watch the conversation. But again, we want to say thank you to all the fathers out there. We want to say happy Father's Day. God bless you. Continue to do what you do. You are the protector, as these ladies are saying. You are the protector of your home. Continue to do what you do. And for those who are still finding themselves, I pray that God gave you the ability to walk into your purpose, which is to protect and cover your family. Thank you again to our audience. We want to say thank you and enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.